Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. SM Chirisa podcast. Today, I've got an exciting guest, and I'm so excited I can't just wait to introduce this guest to you and the wealth of wisdom that we're going to glean from today. So, let's start this. Mrs. Precious Murena Nyika, welcome to the Dr. SM Chirisa.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here.
We couldn't wait to have this. We had planned this before and something happened, but now we are here.
Well, finally, I'm here and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we are happy that you're here. So let's start. Who is Precious Murena Nyika? Tell us, introduce us to you.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself in three parts. Okay. So who am I professionally? I'll start there. And then I'll talk to you about who I am as a person. And then, of course, we look at, what I've been through, what I've acquired to be here. So professionally, I'm just clocking 20 years of working experience. And 16, yeah, that's a long time. 16 of those years I spent in corporate. And I'm just now clocking 4 years as an entrepreneur. 16 years I worked in OK Zimbabwe in the furniture division called Furniture Paradise. I worked in consulting, and then I worked in Lafarge Cement, Zimbabwe. I joined that company as an HR director, and I rose through the ranks to strategy director and then to CEO. And post my time in Lafarge, I started my own businesses. One of my businesses had started way before I left Lafarge, which is Hatch Talent Solutions. And then now I run two other businesses. One is Winfield Strategy and Innovation, a management consulting firm that's taking over the African region. Wow. And Fent, which is a furniture manufacturing and retail company, which does kitchens, BICs, and office furniture. So I think professionally, that's me. I sit on a number of boards as in different capacities, in the banking sector, in the education sector, and in the NGO sector. And up to this point, I studied at the University of Zimbabwe. My first degree was in psychology, and I love talking to you, Doc, because you're a psychiatrist, right? So my first degree was in psychology, and I graduated from the University of Zimbabwe in 2004. And then I went back to the same institution to study my MBA at the UZ. And then some 5 years ago, I went to Harvard Business School to study strategy and innovation. And that's what inspired the birth of our business, which is called Winfield Strategy and Innovation. That learning opportunity opened my eyes to the possibilities of what we can do with African businesses. And I think I just took a lot out of it and created this new business that we have. So that's me professionally. As a person, I'm married. I'm a mother to three beautiful children. My daughter, my oldest is 18. My second child is 15, and he's a boy named Trevor. And then my third is another boy who's 14. I had two kids. 2 consecutive years, I was pregnant for 2 years. Don't ask me how that happened, but yeah, I did that. And I'm married to one husband. Amen to that. Amen to that. I'm married to one husband named Charlie, and Charles is he works for NASA as the supply chain executive there. And yeah, that's us. As an individual, I am someone who is passionate about leadership development. I'm passionate about transforming the next generation of African leaders. And the work that I do centers a lot around that. Everything I do centers around that. If you want me to light up, talk about leadership development.
I'm so happy that we really have, we've got you as our guest today, because my life purpose and the life purpose of this podcast is just to help people succeed in all the facets of their lives. More like an empowerment, kind of encouragement, just to rise to the occasion and to be better. So definitely, I want to talk to my audience right now and say, please get ready for those nuggets and those pens. Get the pens out, get the notepads out. But let me start on the social tip. I've watched you guys with your husband. I mean, we've known each other for years now, and I've watched you. I've interacted with your husband. We've been in places together, and I've watched your marriage good, stable, but yet both of you are working at that high level. How do you balance being a power woman, if I may say it, being married to a power guy? I don't see this struggle which we hear a lot in other, similar setups. And what would be your advice to women in those kind of setups? Number one, and what would be your advice to men who are married to ambitious power women?
Interesting. My husband should answer that question. What do you do? How are you surviving with this ambitious woman? Yeah. But listen, one of the things I learned very early in my life is that whatever you're doing, whatever you're trying to achieve in your life, you can never do it alone. And as you go into a marriage, you're going in there looking for a companion that you're going to walk your journey with. Now, when you're taking that person, you're also hoping at the center of your heart that they're not going to diminish your light. And they're not going to stop you from chasing the dreams that you had. And I think I was lucky to meet a man that, allows me to pursue my dreams, to pursue my ambitions. My husband, anything I tell him, like I go and I say, Charlie, I'm thinking, I should start this and I should start that. And then he thinks, okay, how are you going to make money? And then I tell him, I think I'm going to do this. And then he says, okay, try it. I mean, if it doesn't work, what's the worst that can happen? Just go for it. So he's been a great support system for me. He allows me to try what I need to try. And he supports me when it fails. Like he's there. He's there on the highs. He's there on the lows.
Not to say, I told you so.
Not to say, I told you so. And I think one of the things about my husband is he's very confident and very self-assured in who he is. So, it doesn't scare him that, this woman could wake up one day and she could be a billionaire. Like, so what? He doesn't worry about that. And over the course of our marriage, something also that I learned through that journey is that life is transient. Things are transient. Today, when we started, he was earning so much more than me. And he was taking care of all of us, right? Even though I had a job, it didn't come anywhere close to what he did. And during that time, he supported us in a big way. And then after a few years, the tables turned and I was earning more. And he had a great job, but he was earning less. And then after a few years, the tables turned again. And then after a few years, the tables turned again. And so our marriage has been a cycle of, just supporting each other, like all the way. And I think recognizing that nothing lasts forever. Even if you are powerful today, you're the CEO of the biggest company in the world, tomorrow that job can end. And you want to lean back. You want to have a support system. You want someone who's going to be there for you in that low moment. And you want someone who's going to carry you through that, right? He's also, because he's a professional in his own right, he's experienced his highs and his lows. And I've been there to kind of support him through that. So I think sometimes what makes people disconnect is they think, today I'm here and you're never going to get there.
Sure.
And so I don't need you.
Yeah.
And they make the wrong decision. They make a life decision based on maybe a job that's dependent on someone else.
It's temporary.
Yeah, it's temporary, exactly. And, they quit their marriages or they give up everything they love and know just for a job. And in the end, they lose it. So I think for me, that's one thing. Another thing around it is we must recognize that, work and careers and all this, it runs into infinity. There's no finish line. And because there's no finish line to work, there's no finish line to chasing goals, there's no finish line to how much money one can earn in their lifetime, we must find time to connect with the things that matter in that race. We must do it sustainably, and we must do it in a way that continues to connect us to what matters. What's the point of getting to the finish line and you have no one to cheer you on? What's the point of becoming a millionaire and
so what
you don't
you're saying,
have
if
anyone.
I get you here, your family, your marriage is your why. You are doing all this so that you can enjoy this with the people that
matter to you. Yes, you do all of it for them, actually. And Doc, one of the biggest moments for me in my life was when I fell ill when I was working for Lafarge. I developed blood clots during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes. I developed blood clots in the lungs, and the doctor told me, it's a 50-50 chance. Yeah. And when I was in hospital, I was hospitalized for 12 days. I remember, even though I was the CEO of Lafarge at the time, there's never a time when I was sleeping on that hospital bed that I said, Lord, give me another chance to go back to my job. Yeah. Every day I said, God, give me a chance so I can see my children grow. Give me a chance so I can support my family and see them achieve their dreams. And every single day, that was my prayer. And I got so desperate at some point, I was like, even if I can't walk and I never walk, I just want to see my children grow. Yeah. So when I came out of there and I went back to my job, I had so much more clarity. I had it before, but I think I had even more clarity on why am I here and what is important to me. And as you know, Doc, I think a few years later, I then lost my job in Lafarge. Mm-hmm. But having had that clarity moment helped me to bounce back from that, because I said to myself, hey, wait a minute, this is not the worst thing that can happen. I'm alive. I could have died. And I can see my children grow. Yeah. And I think that made me bounce back. So I think when it comes to marriage, first it's knowing that what is important for you. It's knowing that everything is transient and we continue to support each other all the way in this life. We need each other one way or the other. But it's also being intentional about creating time with the people that matter to you. For me, even though I'm busy, I think my team can tell you, every Friday I have a date with my husband. And I'm excited as if I'm meeting a new guy every day. Wow. Every Friday I have a date. I even check my phone, I'm waiting for the message of where we're going for this date. Because those dates allow us to recalibrate, how things are going, whether we're still on the same wavelength. Yeah. Are there things that happened in that week that we need to solve? So we have dates. We also spend time together intentionally on road trips. We go to the gym together. Wow. We spend holidays together. So we have holidays, 3 holidays a year, where we spend time together to reconnect. So I think intentionality as well is quite important as you try to build your marriage when you're professional.
Thank you so much for that, Precious, because we are family-oriented. I'm family-oriented. Mm-hmm. And it's so important that, the points that I'm bringing up, that you have to be intentional to maintain that marriage, no matter what you're doing, no matter how successful you are, and no matter what you're doing. I hope my audience, you can attest to this and just glean that your marriage and your family is the number one why we are doing everything that we are doing. We'll join you after this break. So welcome back to our second segment. And in this segment, Precious, you and me, we have been executives and we are now running our businesses. What lessons have you learned about having your own business or your own side hustle? And what piece of advice or 3 pieces of advice would you give to people that are still in executive positions, wherever they are, all over the world, based on your experience and what you have seen?
Thank you, Doc, for that question. For me, transitioning from being an executive to being an entrepreneur, a lot of it, first of all, it started out of coaching. So somebody said to me when I was an executive, you don't leave your job to start a business.
Okay.
You start a business so that you can leave your job.
Wow.
Now, the challenge is sometimes when we're employed, we get so comfortable. Like when I was CEO of Lafarge, I had everything. Mm-hmm. If I hadn't lost that job, Doc, I probably still would be there. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And it's that comfort sometimes that makes us get to retirement with nothing. But when I look at the 20 years that I worked and the value that I created, and then I look at the 4 years I've been an entrepreneur and the value that I've created, I'm just like, yo, why didn't I start this earlier? And so what I would give as advice to people that are working is that, number one, whatever you're going to do after that job, you must prepare for it whilst you're still working. Yes. And the reason why most people fail to prepare for it while they're still working is they think if they're going to start a business, the business must be them. As in me, the person, I'm the consultant, or I'm the center. Okay. I'm the operative. And when you think like that, it limits your ability to create. You're not the god of everything, right? You must create a business that exists outside of you as an individual. And once you're able to do that, to trust other people, to do something for you while you are working, you're able to create a business. Of course, in companies, there's conflict of interest and issues like that. So you must pick a business that does not conflict with the business that you actually work in. And start it whilst you still have the bounce back income to come back to. Because my coach told me when I was 35, he said, if you're going to leave your job at 40, because that was my goal, you have to start your business at 35. So that by the time you're 40, that business has matured, because it takes 5 years for a startup business model to settle and for you to be guaranteed that it's going to survive. Wow. And so you want to leave when you have done the 5 years. So I would say that is one. Number two, I also say if you're going into an executive position, you must know that you're now at the apex of the organization.
There's nowhere else to go.
There's nowhere else to go. You are now in the departure lounge, effectively. You're in the departure lounge. And when you're going into the departure lounge, prepare for the departure at the beginning. I see a lot of executives who don't negotiate for their separation package when they're taking on a job. You can't negotiate a separation package during the separation. You can't. The conflict is heated. Yeah. The relationship is broken. There's no trust. There's no...
it's a bare knuckle fight.
Exactly. So you want to do it at the point when you are in good books with your employer. Listen, I'm coming to join you. I'm going to work for you for 10 years. Mm-hmm. But we must agree, if I'm going to leave one day, how are you going to calculate my separation package? Wow. Agree on the formula, put it in the contract. When that day comes, because that day will come.
It will always come.
When that day comes, your formula is done. You're not talking to anybody. You're going to walk away with something that's meaningful for you. And why is this important? Once you're an executive, when you leave your job, there are very few jobs out there for someone who has been MD or director. It's not, the job market is not open.
I know what you're talking about.
There isn't, right? So you've got to prepare. You've got to prepare adequately for that. Yeah. I think for me, those are the two main key things.
Those are so key. Because one of the things why I asked that question is I've seen so many executives after leaving the executive position, they really deteriorate. Their lifestyle goes down, disturbs their families, their marriages, and it's a mess. And I think it's time, especially in our environment, for people to have that intentionality to prepare. Now, just moving on a bit, still in the business world, you have been training a lot of businesses, different types. Maybe you will tell us industries that you have trained. But for the sake of my audience, I want to know what 3 takeaway or lessons that you have learned as you started your business from the businesses that you are training and the issues that you hear, that advice for somebody starting a business, already running a business, what key takeaways would you want to give to the entrepreneurs that are listening to us?
Thank you. So I have 3 things that I want to leave here. The first one is visioning, which is the role of a founder or an entrepreneur is to cast a vision into the future. Where do you want this thing to go? right? That's your job. You can sleep in Hawaii just dreaming, what is it that I want to achieve? But after that, you must hire people to say, how do we go from the point where we are to the vision that you have cast? And you must have the ability to trust people with your vision. And I think this is where a lot of entrepreneurs fail. They want to work alone. They don't want to trust anyone with the vision. Or they have people who work for them, but the people don't know where the business is going. People want to know the why. Why do we exist and why are we supporting you? And once you've hired these people, their job is to say, how do we go from here to there? So you're hiring them to just go from your vision, from where we are to where your vision is. But this is not enough. The strongest point is around systems. People don't build businesses. Systems build. Systems run businesses. And so when you have the people, you now want systems to say, how do we do this process of getting from here to there faster? How do we do it more efficiently? How do we do it better than our competitors? And how do we do it with guaranteed perfection? Yeah. So that's what systems will give to you. And systems will give you the ability as a founder to manage from afar. So you can be wherever you are and you're looking at your dashboards, you're looking at your results, and you're controlling your business from there. You don't have to be there 24/7 managing that business and losing the time you need to spend with your family.
You know, I have interacted with a lot of business people. And if I would put it in the vernacular language, chibububu, you know, people are just kicking the ball, hoping that they'll make profit. There are no systems. And it limits their scalability.
It does.
It limits their ability to sell. I started a business, grew it, sold it. And you could sell a business because it's got systems and is able to run without you.
Without you, exactly.
And what I saw was that it's something that you have to intentionally set out when you're starting the business.
Exactly.
That I want to set up a business that can run without me.
Exactly.
Most of the businesses that are run in this country, or people who say they're in business, they are the business.
Yes, they are the business. Doc, I want to talk from a small, because I know some of your audience are people running small businesses. You have people that do cakes, for example, right? And you have a woman who says, I bake the cakes myself because I don't want the maid to have the recipes. Because if she has the recipes, she'll go and start her own. I'm sorry. If you're the one baking the cakes, there's a limited number of cakes you can bake per day. And that's the maximum amount you're ever going to make for the rest of your life. If you want to multiply your income, you have to multiply the hands that make the cakes. You are not the one that's going to stop people from starting new businesses. And I want you always to remember that. You're not the one. You're not stopping anybody. By stopping your maid, there's still somebody else somewhere starting a cake business today.
You're simply stopping yourself.
You're stopping yourself from growing. So if you're going to grow a business, you have to trust other people to do exactly what you do. Growth comes from trust. Companies like Lafarge, companies like BAT and all of these that are in every country across the world have had to trust people with their dream. And I think that's the starting point if you want to grow.
We have to start trusting people.
Yes, with our dreams.
Last for this segment, what would you tell your 30-year-old self if you would go back from the wealth of, the coaching that you've had, the exposure that you've had in Harvard Business School, which you did not have at 30? There's a 30-year-old, 25-year-old watching. What would you tell your 30-year-old self now, based on the experience that you have gathered?
Firstly, the one thing that I would say is at any given time, you think you know it all. And exposure and knowledge has taught me that we only know 2% of the things we need to know. And over time, the greater your knowledge increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. As you get more knowledge, you realize, oh my God, I knew nothing. I wish I knew this when I was 30. I would have created something better. Wow. And I think when I was 30, I was so self-assured. I thought, and I was even leading people at the time. But oh my God, if I knew what I know now then, I think we could have achieved exponential growth at the time. So I think continue to seek knowledge, continue to be open-minded, continue to be humble about what you know. There's so much to learn and so much out there. I think that would be one. The second thing is, most of us are limited, put limits on our dreams in the mind. A lot of the barriers we believe are there are really in the mind. Yes, but we don't have. Yes, we don't have time. We don't have time. I've seen a lot of people who are in retirement homes who look back and say, what was the point of being alive? I never even tried anything. When you're 30, you have enough time to try so many things. Even if you fail, no one's going to die. You know, what's the worst that can happen? And that's the mentality you need to have then, because then you have time, then you have less kids, the risk is less, and the impact of the risk is less. As you grow and you're 42 like me, now you have to think through and say, okay, I can't do this, because my kids, because my family and all of this. So when you're 30, it's the prime time to jump. It's the prime time to take risks and try new things. And hopefully you will land on some gold along the way.
Those who are 30 and below, it's time to jump. It's time to take the risk. Let's take the risk. See you in the next segment. Welcome back to our third and final segment. So, Precious, a large part of my audience are women. And we've been training, especially with my wife, with the jewels, empowering them so that they can rise and become the best. I want you to speak heart to heart as a woman to another woman, especially given the notion and the thing that is sort of like runs through the thread of conversations that women have to compromise their integrity in order for them to rise. What do you have to say? You have risen. Have you compromised?
It's a very good question, Doc. And I think that it's a notion that's there in society, which women must really discard. Because, every person in the world that creates a business wants to make money.
Okay.
If you're good at what you do and you help the company to make money, you're going to rise. Yes. That's it. True. That's all it takes. It's not about how pretty you are. It's not about, what you have. As long as you're performing and creating shareholder value, you're going to rise. And people must understand that. And as long as you're not performing, even if you rise by doing all sorts of shady things, you're going to fall. And you're not going to go anywhere.
It's going to show
because at some point it's going to show. People want value. And so I think women must not limit themselves. They must go for the opportunities that are out there. One of the things I saw during my time when I was CEO is that women raise their hands for opportunities only when they're 100% sure that they can do it. But guys raise their hands when they're 20% sure. There's an empty role. They just say, I think I can do it. And the guy only has 20% of the credentials required. A woman wants to get to 100%. But by the time you're 100% sure, you're overqualified. It's late. You've already missed that bus. No. And so I think it's important to raise your hand earlier than when you think you're sure. And I think having a coach for a woman can really help you to kind of push yourself outside of your comfort zone, because your coach normally tells you, I think you're ready for this job. I think you're underestimating yourself and you need to go for it. So I think that's what I would say. Push yourself, lean forward, raise your hand for the opportunities that are there. I saw a guy when I was working as CEO come to me and say to me, boss, there's a job here for a commercial director. And by the way, the commercial director was already there. He was working. He was full-time. But here is someone who was coming to throw their name in the hat for a job. Yes, he came and he said, boss, if ever there's a vacancy in this job, this is my CV. These are my credentials. I'm ready for it.
Wow.
By the time a woman is raising their hand, it's late. It's already late. So don't miss the bus. Lean in to the opportunities that are being presented.
Women, it's definitely your time. And I think this advice is so rich. Go for those opportunities. Don't have second thoughts. Just go in and learn while there. Just another What do you do in your free time? I mean, you look so busy. You've got all these businesses, 3 of them. What do you do on your in your free time? A lot of people ask me, what do entrepreneurs do when
they're free? You know what? I know I do look very busy, but one of the things I've really done very well for myself, which I'm proud of, is I've created a very strong team. And so I have very strong leaders around me that run the businesses that we have, that take care of everything. So I have enough time to spend time on the things that matter. So yeah, on my free time, when my kids are there, I spend a lot of time with my kids. They're teenagers now, so they've got lots that they want to do. I also read a lot of books because they deepen my knowledge. Like I said, you know, there's so much to learn, and we only know very little. So I read a lot. I read a lot of books. I love music. So I love going out and dancing. I love road trips. So I travel a lot. When I travel and see the world and meet people, that excites me. So I think those are the things I mainly spend, my spare time doing. I go to the gym because of my husband. Like, he pulls me to the gym every day. So I do that, but it's like... No, but I do it. I do it for him.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So, I haven't seen any book that you have written. Are you thinking about going into that direction? I mean, given the journey that you have walked, and rising right to the top of the top and running a successful business, is there a book that is coming? Is there something that is coming, or not yet?
Yes. I've had a lot of people say that to me, to say, you need to write a book. You should write a book, And all my life, I've always thought, you must write a book somewhere towards the end of your life. Like when you're clocking, when you have enough to write and fill up a book. But I realize now more and more that there is so much that I've learned over the years that I could share with a lot of people that could help them build their businesses and so forth. So I am looking to actually start that. It's actually my goal for 2025 to start working on that. So I hope to come back to this podcast some years from now and talk about that book.
Yes, definitely. It's something that we are also starting just to review books and just talk about the books. So tell me more about the trainings that you conduct. Who are you targeting? Is it people that are employed? Do you have something for entrepreneurs that are, running their own businesses, or is for people that are just employed? And how can they contact your team? And, tell us about that.
Okay. So we run a business school called Winfield Business School. And Winfield Business School has products for both people that are in corporate and people that are running their own businesses. And we've created this to create a platform where business leaders can learn from business leaders. So at our business school, you don't learn theory. You actually learn from people that have done stuff, people that have seen it all. And so we bring business leaders from across Africa to come and talk to executives and entrepreneurs and different people there. So we have programs for leaders in corporate. So we have a management development program that's very popular in this market, which targets people at management level. We have an executive development program, which targets people who are founders of their own businesses or directors in corporates. It's an exceptional program. I think amongst our programs, it's the top-rated program from Winfield Business School. Then we have a program called Thrive, which is for entrepreneurs. And this one is really saying, if you want to start your business, number one, the visioning that I spoke about, right? How do you do the visioning processes? How do you build a strong team, an effective team? And then how do you build systems so that you can manage through systems? And then also, how do you build a sustainable business in a corrupt world? Yeah. How do you build a sustainable business in a corrupt world? Because if you build a business and you don't think through those things, if you do a lot of shortcuts, if you don't pay your taxes, if you pay bribes, that business will not last beyond 5 years. It's not a sustainable way to run a business. So Thrive is for entrepreneurs and all those people who are seeking to build their business. And I think it's a fun.
Just weighing in about that. We have been running our own business, one of our hospitals since 2006. And one of the things that we decided was just to do the right thing. And when you do the right thing, you do well.
Yeah.
And we're so happy that that's what has happened. So we've sort of like come to the close of our, 45 minutes. They've gone too fast. So here's my last question, or maybe I'll ask you to your parting words to entrepreneurs. What would it be, having seen that you started your own business, in the past 4 years, been running it full time? What should they be wary of? And what is maybe one or two key success ingredients that you want to leave them with?
The first one I want to start with is around financing, because every time I meet entrepreneurs, they talk about, I can't get money for the business that I want to do, or how do you finance it? And I always say, don't get obsessed about chasing money. Be obsessed about creating good ideas, because money chases good ideas. And I think when you have a good idea and you take it in the right rooms, people will buy it and people will finance it. Don't be obsessed about chasing money. I think that would be the first thing for me. And then the second thing is really around the fact that everything rises and falls on leadership. If you, the owner, don't have the discipline to do the right things, your business falls from there. I think those are the two things that I'll start with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You had it for yourself from the very best, none other than precious Murena Nyika. Thank you so much for taking time through out of your busy schedule to be with us this day and just share your wisdom. We are definitely going to have you back, because I know there's so much that we could unpack and really go into the leadership and the coaching business. And those who want to, we are going to put the contacts for Winfred Business Training School, and please go. This is something that we want you to go. As Dr. S.M. Chirisa, we endorse this training, and it's important for you to be trained, because you can never rise without having a coach. So see you next time, and thank you, Precious. Wow.
Thank you.